How did you cheat the system? I was paying out of state tuition for college in Texas. I looked up all the ways I could get in-state tuition and there were 4 different ways. 1. Marry a Texan. 2. Own property in Texas for 1 year. 3. Hold a job in Texas for 1 year. 4. Own a business in Texas for 1 year. So naturally, I started a business. I registered my business with the state and filed taxes every quarter. I had 0 expenses and 0 income every quarter, so I paid nothing in taxes. 1 year later I got on that in-state tuition. It cost me around $200 to register my business, and it saved me tens of thousands of dollars. Small business owners make this world go round. In high school, my Spanish teacher had a stack of 30 nota cards, with each of our names written on them. She would pick from those cards almost every day to choose who would answer the next question. In the first week of school, I saw the cards on her desk, saw mine on top, quickly took it and threw it away. Never got called on the whole year. The cafe in my office building sells soup. 12 ounces 1.39. 16 ounces 2.79. The lady at the register always thinks I'm weird for buying 2 smalls. They also have a rewards, but 9 get your 10th free, and I get double punches for my 2 soups. There's a 10.99, 12 ounces prime rib, or 20.99 for a 16 ounce. The waitress ducking glared daggers at me when I just ordered 2 plates of food. Why not just get the bigger one? Because I suck at math. Bring me 24 ounces of delicious prime rib with the fixings please. I still have my student ID which did not have a date on it, and the picture is incredibly dark. I still get discounts on occasion using my student ID and still have my email which I use for a ton of free software. My school disabled the email, but I have an alumni version which still ends in edu, so it works on some things. In Canada we got rid of the penny a few years back, so whenever you purchase something that's say 10.21 you would pay 10.20, and if something is 10.24 you'd pay 10.25. Anyways, whenever I pump gas I always pump 2 cents over and get 2 cents of gas for free. Duck the system. Had to park in New Orleans for a week. Was going to cost $140. Went to post, and if you lost your ticket it was only $50. I didn't lose my ticket, but I said I did. Take that system. I tried this once, and they wrote down the license plates of all the cars that were their overpass. Had to pay the lost ticket fee for each day I was there. Oh, wow. I suddenly found the ticket. Cancel your Audible subscription and they'll immediately offer to prevent your cancellation by offering you 50% off for 3 months. Hulu do this as well. You can get Hulu for free using Bing Rewards. You do maybe 2 minutes of work a day and it pays for the subscription. Bonus points if you do the Bing searches during Hulu's commercials. Back at the fast food place I worked for in high school we would get half off everything including gift cards. I could buy a 20 card for 10 and then use that 20 card to buy more half off food, effectively turning 10 into 40. Unfortunately that didn't last too long. You should have used the gift card to buy more 1-2 off gift cards. Then use those gift card to buy more 1-2 off gift card, turning 20 into thousands. Last month, Shophouse Southeast Asian Kitchen owned by Chipotle sent out coupons to the residents of my neighborhood. One of the 2 coupons was 1 free rice, noodle, or salad bowl with no restrictions. I live in an apartment, and some of my neighbors threw the coupons into the junk mail recycling bin without realizing what they were doing. For the days following the delivery of these coupons, I searched the bins for these coupons. I ended up with enough coupons to last me the whole month. With all the add-ins 4 times meat, 2 times or 3 times veggie, 2 times curry, my average bowl is valued at 16. Multiplied by 30 coupons, 480 of free food. So I was 11 years old and at a water park with my family. I really wanted to go to Burger King that day, and my dad had said repeatedly no way. He didn't have the money for that. They had this system where when you arrive, you bought a bracelet for $4, which you could exchange for a tube to ride around on stuff. At the end of the day, you'd return the bracelet and they'd give you one. It was around the middle of the day, and there were people both coming and going, and there was a really long line at the stand to get returned bracelets. So I sold my bracelet to some guy at the back of the line for $3. He didn't have to wait, and I gave him $1 off. So all good. Then I took that $3 and went and bought back 3 bracelets from people waiting to return them. I gave them the same price they'd get at the booth, but they didn't have to wait. I took those 3 bracelets and sold them to other people at the back of the line for $3. Rinsed and repeated a bunch of times. Spent about a half an hour hustling. Went back to my dad with $40 and gave it to him and explained how I got it. Asked if we could go to Burger King now. He was like, yeah, you win. Whoppers were on me that day. This is when your father realized how much he really did love you. Burger King Whopper is $4.79. Whopper JRs are $1.39. You can buy 3 JRs for the price of a Whopper. Wow, so cheap. It costs way more than that in the UK. At my old school, the coffee machine had more buttons than the offered choices. If you pressed on those buttons, there were other coffee choices that weren't programmed by the school. You could get free espresso all day long. About 25 years ago I made an $800 purchase on a credit card. It was charged twice. The CC company called me to inquire about it, and I told them it was a duplicate. 10 minutes later they called again, so I explained again it was a duplicate entry. Apparently both reps deleted the charge. So I sat with a $800 balance for a few months until I closed the card and they sent me a check. Stealing? I guess so in the end. But I'm still sleeping pretty well. I bought my first HD TV in 2003 at a large box store. The guy tried to sell me the warranty, but I refused, citing I didn't have enough for the TV $2,200 and the warranty $450. He took the price of the TV down to $1,700 so I would buy the warranty. A day after the TV was delivered I went back to the store and returned the warranty. Edit: I don't sign in often so the backlash is hilarious. I made my story short and sweet. There was a lot more to it. It was Futura Shop in Canada. The sales guy was an asshole. Without the warranty, he told me I needed to pay to ship the TV if it broke. It only had 90 days parts and 1 year labor. It was a very high pressure sale. When I got the TV I read the manual and warranty. It was 2 years parts and labor and they come to my house if the TV is over 20, meaning I paid $450 for 2 extra years of warranty while I passed burn-in period. So the guy lied to sell the warranty. Also the TV did have a problem and to fix it cost less than $100. I sold it a couple years ago and it was still working perfectly. Many people calling me a dick. Awesome. What was the point of the post? Aren't most cheaters dick? I work in an office next to a Walmart, so I walk there almost daily to eat lunch. Without fail I'll usually find discarded receipts on the ground from customers who litter or leave them in carts. I then use Walmart's savings catcher app and scan the barcodes in. The app price matches the items then refunds me the difference. If it was cheaper at a competitor, the funds can be redeemed at Walmart.com. I made enough in a year to buy my kids a trampoline. Edit: one more savings catcher story. I searched the hashtag Walmart on Instagram about a year ago and saw some lady posted a picture of her receipt to brag that she was able to finally buy her own groceries. I snagged the barcode from her picture and made myself about 2. I then commented on her picture telling her thanks. I convinced my high school system I was emancipated when I was 15 with no supporting paperwork. I got to know the secretary and asked once what I needed on their end because I was getting emancipated. I would check in every week or so, say hi, and just try and be nice. After about 3 months I walked in very excited, explaining how I was getting my own place and had a job. She filed my paperwork immediately, and from that point on I controlled my supervision in high school. I wrote my own notes, had my own phone number as the contact info, and could sign off on anything that required a parent's signature. I went through the rest of school like this, and my family never found out. And yes, I graduated. When my son was little, I was a single mother without child support. Dad was on the certificate, just didn't pay. Living in a very bad area with an underfunded school system. When I went down to get a look at it, I was told that, because the boy had been born with a tied tongue and still had some residual speech issues, he would be placed in a special ed program. All disabled students were placed in the same program: speech difficulties, Down syndrome, motor difficulties, intellectual disability. The place looked, sounded and seemed to be run as a harsh, overstrained institution. My mother lived 20 miles away in the same area where I had grown up, a village of 600 people. It has one of the best school systems in the state, due in part to a wealthy tax base and in part to an excellent sports program. Its graduates went on to college at a 90% rate. At the school in my district, it was less than 60%. After speaking with my mother, I went to the post office and opened a box under my name, tied to her address. I called the phone company and had the bill set up in my name and sent to the PO box. When I renewed my driver's license, that was the address I gave. I did this with a few other incidental things. When school started, I registered him using my mother's address, and every morning at 4:30 I would get him up and drive him over there to the local daycare to go on to school, so I could come back into town to be at work by 6. Then I'd pick him up after school and take him home again. We went on this way for almost 2 years. He received normal speech therapy and showed enormous improvement within a year. Before long he qualified for the gifted program. Eventually a bus driver apparently noticed my long distance commute and tattled to the school. I was called into the office, where I produced all the bills and paperwork I'd expected I might have to. I think the principal knew I was lying, but he silently took the paperwork, Xeroxed it and gave it back to me. I hate to lie. And more than anything I hate to lie like that right in someone's face who hasn't done me any harm. But I had absolutely no choice. I didn't budge. The paperwork satisfied the powers that be, and within 2 years I'd found an apartment in the better district and moved in. My son will graduate next year. Edit. I'm amazed at all the supportive comments and messages from other parents who did the same thing. As much as I appreciate the support I've heard, I think for one thing I had the unique benefits of a car and a family member in a good district. And for another, maybe this is really something we should take a second look at in the US, since so many of us, face to face, disagree with it enough to congratulate people like me who flaunt the law. If we know it makes a good parent to disobey the law is immoral and cruel to people who can't afford or aren't able to defy it. Consider the good mother in a poor district, who really has no choice, and what she goes through knowing that. It wasn't intentional, but I got a free 60 bus ride last year. I accidentally booked my trip for the wrong day and didn't realize until I was already in line, waiting for my bus, a 12-hour ride that crossed an international border. The driver told me that the bus I had bought was scheduled to leave tomorrow and that I couldn't get on this one. I was upset, since I had already taken a 2-hour bus ride to get to this bus station, and it was about 1 AM. He felt bad, and since there was one extra seat on the bus, let me take it. The next day, after I'd arrived, I got an email saying that, due to snow, ice, bad road conditions, my bus was cancelled. You had the choice to either reschedule or get a refund. I would have done nothing, but it even said that if you didn't reschedule within 72 hours or so, they would just issue a refund. Boom. Free trip. I was at university doing an internship during my 3rd year, but showed up to the semester orientation for first years and got free subway and other freebies. Some 2nd year students assumed I was a first year and I just went along with it because I enjoy any opportunity to practice my lying. Sat down and read my graduation requirements for university and went through all the classes that could cross across different fields. My university allowed for some classes to count twice if used for different degrees. In the public university system I graduated in 4 years, with over 180 credit hours and 3 degrees, all for the same price as people who were taking the minimum amount of classes. I was informed by my old academic advisor that the university changed their rules after my graduation because of me. Brilliant. A pity that you were not able to effectively pass along this info to future students. May I ask what your 3 degrees were in? Just curious as to what 3 fields were related enough to have enough of a large overlap. I sit in on college and graduate level courses without signing up or paying even the reduced audit fees. I simply show up on the first day of class early, wait for the teacher to be free for a minute, and ask if they mind if I sit in. 9 times out of 10 they'll let me sit in on lectures. 7 out of 10 on discussion groups. I do this simply because I enjoy learning, and even if teachers aren't supposed to let me sit in, they're in charge of enforcing that and enjoy teaching to engaged students, so they are generally happy to have me. There are even schools which allow you to test for credits, so you can turn this free education into a quick and cheap degree when you've done enough of it. I never graduated high school. I went back a year later and told the office clerk that I had graduated and didn't get my diploma. They gave me my diploma and now I've been working in the school system for 10 years. I'm confused. Could they not look at your transcript and see you didn't actually get enough credits to show that you didn't graduate? If so, and if they find this out, you could be fired on the spot. In work we have a clocking in out system, which pays you an extra 15 minutes wage if you stay for 7 minutes, for example. Shift ends at 8 PM. If I stay clocked in until 8:07, I get paid an extra 15 minutes. Now, I make sure to turn up to work at least 7 minutes early to clock in, and make sure I use the toilet or something at the end of my shift, so I clock out a little later. I typically get paid an extra 30 minutes for pretty much no time at all. I've been doing this for about a year and it's earned me an extra $700-800 on my yearly wage. Edit, I feel like a sneaky bastard. But on a serious note, I do actually work my ass off for the company and they don't pay overtime, like it says in my contract, so I just classify this as my overtime pay that I arrange for myself. Not something I do anymore, but something I used to do. I worked at a takeaway restaurant. One of the few perks for the employees was that if you worked an opening or closing shift, you received a free lunch and drink from the menu. Because of my schedule, I used to get quite a few of these shifts. At the time, there was also a promotion going on with Coca-Cola. Basically, whenever you bought a bottle, you could use the code on the label to earn points on the Coca-Cola website. You can probably see where this is going now. Basically, I was able to drink several bottles of Coke each week, input the codes, and then earn a ton of points, all without paying a cent. Over the course of just a few months, I received enough points for a PS3 game and an iTunes card. Unfortunately, there was an incident, and suddenly employees weren't allowed free lunches anymore. But it was a nice bonus while it lasted. Good for my wallet, not so good for my teeth. This ice cream chain used to have this ice cream card where you deposited money to a chip card, and if you paid with it, you'd get a discount. Turned out that the amount of money on the card was just some variable in its memory, and no particular security around it. A few lines of code and some instructions, and the card would always reset back to $10 automatically. Free ice cream ahoy.